And welcome back to Daily Wrap. I'm Joe Concha with my co-host Rick Unger, plus Heather Hansen and Brad Hirschfield. We call them the A-Team. The food police continue to make their rounds in New York City. First, it was Mayor Bloomberg's 16-ounce soda ban. Remember that? A judge later ruled that the New York City Board of Health acted outside the jurisdiction and the ban died. Now, the Board of Health has gotten involved with daycare centers, limiting the amount of juice kids can drink and the amount of TV they can watch. The effort's all in an attempt to cut child obesity rates, which are, as you may have heard, going up. According to the New York City Department of Health records, 15% of 3-year-olds and 17% of 4-year-old preschoolers from low-income families were deemed obese. And here are the new rules. Children 2 years and older can only have 4 ounces of 100% juice. Previously, babies as young as 8 months old were allowed up to 6 ounces of juice per day. Children will not be able to sit, for more than 30 minutes straight, down from 60. That, of course, excludes nap time. Children 2 years and older can only watch up to 30 minutes of educational television program a week. That's down from 60. This new law seems to follow First Lady Michelle Obama's Healthy Eating Initiative, which limits calories of school-served lunches. Look at that. Can we show some of that? There's, of course, the First Lady, and that's quite a... There we go. Got a little ahead of myself. I'm so hungry. So that does look at the old school lunches I used to have, which was bad pizza and a lot of applesauce, from what I remember. So, Brad, is Mayor de Blasio overreacting with these new rules at daycare centers?
I want to be clear. It's very interesting. Ask the fat guy about the obesity question. That's pretty funny.
You're not fat.
But
you're supple.
I'm fluffy.
You're fluffy.
You're a rabbi.
No, here's the deal.
Rabbi.
I take it very seriously because it is something I wrestle with, and more Americans do. I don't know that he's overreacting, but he may be foolishly reacting. Obesity is a public health issue, and there isn't one person out there who's wrestled with it who doesn't know it's also a personal issue. But there's no evidence that these are actually moves that will make a difference. So for me, it's not a nanny state, non-nanny state issue, because public health is something even most people, if they're pre-libertarian in their views, do believe is worth dealing with, because we all pay the price for it. Here the problem is there a shred of evidence that this will actually work, or is this a political stunt that sounds good, so let's do it?
Can I jump in? Yeah. I gotta think that juice, which has sugar, and sugar turns to fat or something like that, right? That's a good thing that you take away. I don't necessarily think I need science to tell me that that's a good thing to take juice away from kids.
So it depends. I think you're right, and we certainly didn't give a lot of juice to our 3 girls when they were growing up. But there's a difference between a personal choice to do that, and here's where the government's issue does check in.
By a 4-year-old?
No, by their parents.
That's right.
By their parents and by the schools their parents send them to. Now, these are public institutions, then absolutely step in and make that decision. But there does need to be some evidence. I think here and now we're balancing public health and personal freedom. That's the only reason I would say in that sense there is. But you want to be an advocate and join me? No kid needs juice. It does absolutely nothing. It's a sugar delivery system, and it helps no one.
That's true, but pixie sticks do help.
But there's no proof that it helps, and in fact, I'd argue that it hurts. You know, Michelle Obama, as part of her Healthy, Hunger-Free Kid initiative and the act that went through, I think, in 2010, just on Friday they announced in the Federal Register that they're doing a study of 3,000 kids where they're going to weigh them and measure them in order to put them in this study. I think that's counterproductive. When you're a young kid and you have any sort of a weight problem, to be weighed in front of the other children.
You get weighed at school anyway.
Not necessarily. It depends on the state.
I want to get in on this quickly.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys have a problem with the one rule where they want kids to be more active? Did that trouble anybody?
The whole idea of it troubles me
really?
As far as
because we had that rule when I was a kid, so
it troubles me less because here we actually do know the more you move, the better you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it does make
here's the thing that we don't know. I do agree with you in terms of the parents' involvement. What we don't know, and I think it's a little bit unfair, by the way, to compare this to what Mayor Bloomberg was doing, because the Board of Health has always had this kind of input into the school system in town. But what I do want to know was how much input did parents have before? Well, how do we know that?
I read a couple of articles today
I've
where
been looking and I didn't see parents.
The parents' reaction was negative, and in fact, one of the things that was especially telling to me is one of the parents
said. Usually they interview the ones who have a negative reaction.
No,
not the
they interviewed
positive
both.
ones.
They interviewed both. There were some people who said, "I think it's going to be helpful," but there were some mothers who said, "You know, juice is soothing to my child." and she's used to having X
But they
amount of
didn't.
juice
They didn't
a
take
day.
it away. They just said.
But
And by the way,
right.
this is
But
only
if it's
in.
if the parent wants the kid to have juice, that's up
But
to
they're
the
going to have
parent.
more juice when they come home. It's
But
only in the
but
preschool.
But
sometimes
that
those
is the
kids are in school the
public-private
whole
difference.
day.
And I would say the thing is, you're right. They always do interview the negative responders,
Yeah.
but you're the research expert. I didn't find it either. There were no public hearings on this. There were no opportunities for.
So how
the
about
public
one
to weigh in.
modification? A note from the parents can change it.
That
I'd
would
be
make
fine
it
with that.
would be-
Solutions.
I think that would be really interesting.
When does that ever happen?
And
That'd
that's
be good.
actually what's happening
Good
with the
job.
weighing thing. You know, you talked about getting weighed. There are some schools where they force the children to get weighed. It has a huge impact on young girls. I'm just telling
The
you right
weighing
now.
thing, you're totally right. It's
And if
shaming.
you're overweight,
it's
it's shaming.
embarrassing,
Horrible.
and it's
It's
a
a
terrible
horrible
idea.
thing.
Again, you can be really well intentioned
I
and
agree
do a
with you.
really stupid thing.
Well, and that's-
Public weighing in that category.
Talk about.
I was husky when I was a kid. I wouldn't have liked that at all.
Oh,
Horrible.
horrible.
I didn't see a husky Rick Unger.
I was.
What I
I wore
think is,
husky sizes.
what always bothers me, though, that I think the First Lady always had her heart in the right place on this, and I thought it was a good initiative, and I hated the fact it became a political football.
I agree.
Like,
That's
this is
right.
Michelle Obama trying
She's
to
trying
fool
to
your
do
kids.
something
It was
good.
a great
Stop
idea.
it.
Right.
Coming up
Correct.
next, potluck time. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax TV.